Hello and welcome to my week 3 top 25 predictions. Honestly, this is a pretty dog shit week of football. There's very limited games that could be recognized as good, but other than that, it's pretty lame. With that being said, a like and subscribe would help. A comment always helps, and let's get straight into this. So first, we've got Miami, who's entering the rankings against Bethune. Absolutely nothing to be said. I mean, that should just be a slaughter fest. It's honestly what a lot of these games are going to be. This is probably one of the games of the week. Just because Washington has to go play on the road at Michigan State, which could cause issues. Road games are never easy for anyone. I say Washington will take it, but I'm not going to say Michigan State will let them win it easily. I'm going to say Michigan State's going to give them some competition throughout the game, keep it relatively close, but Washington will ultimately win. Honestly, Michigan State hasn't really impressed me at all. I was not high on them going into this season. I'm still not. They've just killed two random schools, and now they're getting their first real test against a very good Washington team. Washington has they beat the shit out of Boise State. I mean, so they've proven more to me than Michigan State has. So, and to be honest, in the offseason, I would have chosen Washington winning this game anyways. So that's that. Florida State at Boston College. Boston College, what? They just won against somebody by 3 points. Or did they lose that game? They barely beat Holy Cross, and they lost to North Illinois in overtime. They won against Holy Cross by 3 points. Boston College is going to get absolutely waxed. I'm going to give them 10 because, they're going to get the ball a whole bunch from Florida State constantly scoring and giving the ball back to them. They're going to score a little bit, but Florida State will absolutely walk over this team. Boston College is terrible. Penn State at Illinois. To be honest, the home field does make a major difference and whatnot, but ultimately this Illinois team has sucked. I get Toledo won like their conference or whatever last year, and that was a close game and whatnot. Illinois wins, but then they travel to Kansas, and Kansas was absolutely destroying them. Illinois made the final score closer than the game actually was. Going into the end of the third quarter, Kansas was up 34-7. Illinois is just not that good of a team this year. Penn State is a very good team this year. Penn State should walk all over them pretty simply, probably in like the same fashion as the West Virginia game. LSU at Mississippi State. LSU should absolutely destroy this team. From what I saw in the U of A Mississippi State game, it's that Mississippi State is garbage. Mississippi State beat U of A by 7 points, I think, in overtime. Was it in overtime? Did they win in overtime? Let me check real quick. Either way, I know that, they won in overtime by 7 points. But ultimately, Mississippi State had so many givens from U of A. Listen, U of A had 5 turnovers. Mississippi State had 1. 5 turnovers and you only win by 7 points. Mississippi State looked like trash. LSU is a pretty good team. They should absolutely dominate this Mississippi State team. Home field or not, they should absolutely dominate them. Kansas State at Missouri. I want to say this is going to be a tough one, a closer one, just because I feel like sometimes it is a little difficult for teams outside of the SEC to go travel into an SEC school and win, whether they're good or bad. So I'm going to say Missouri's going to make it tough. Missouri's going to make it tough. I could be completely and utterly wrong about this, but Missouri's going to make it tough. But Kansas State will still walk away with the win. This is probably it'll probably be 28-10 or something like that, and then they score a touchdown, 2-point conversion. But I'm not going to say Kansas State is just going to absolutely annihilate them because, after all, they are traveling into an SEC team. It's a little difficult. Weber State at Utah. Utah should put up a lot of points, right? In theory, it's a random school. They totally should, but there's always big fat question marks for Utah right now. They should absolutely destroy this team. The defense should have no problem holding this team to little points. Central Michigan at Notre Dame. Another one, nothing being said. I'm actually going to give the shutout to Notre Dame because this Central Michigan team just looks terrible. I mean, they already lost a game. They got killed by Michigan State, and then they barely snuck out a win against New Hampshire. Yeah, New Hampshire by 3 points. So it's just Central Michigan does not pose competition to this team. Notre Dame might honestly shut them out. South Carolina, Georgia. This is like one of the games I put on the title as a game of the week. I want to see what Spencer Rattler can do. Sorry for the mic noise. I want to see what Spencer Rattler can do. But honestly, traveling to Georgia's got one of the best defenses in the country. This should be no question. And South Carolina looked terrible in that North Carolina game. Georgia should absolutely walk over this team just like they did last year. No difference. Alabama at USF. USF was a one-loss or a one-win team last year. Alabama just lost to Texas. They probably want to kind of just like kick a little stuffed animal or something, if that being USF. USF probably doesn't pose much competition here. Alabama should absolutely destroy this team. San Diego State at Oregon State. To be honest, San Diego State looked really garbage in their opener and against UCLA, and against Idaho State. San Diego State won by 7 points to Ohio. Then they won by 8 points to Idaho State, and then their third home game in a row, UCLA wins 35-10, which ultimately was said and done by the third quarter, with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. It looks like Dante Moore was the one taking a course in this game. Finally seeing him, he was 17 for 27, 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. UCLA is a team to be looking out for right now. San Diego State had 3 turnovers, all being interceptions. UCLA had 2, both being fumbles. And ultimately, UCLA had 550 yards. San Diego State had 259. San Diego State does not look like a good team right now whatsoever. And Oregon State looks like a phenomenal team right now. There's brewing ground for bad stuff. I won't say San Diego State won't score. I'm also going to say Oregon State might tone it down. After all, the San Jose State game, it was 17-49 or something like that. So, yep, they'll dominate there. Oklahoma at Tulsa. Tulsa, I mean, they got killed by Washington, but at least they put up some amount of points. It should just be the exact same thing. Oklahoma probably could score a little bit more than Washington did. Minnesota at North Carolina. Sorry, I'm being texted. Sorry, I just shut off for a second. Minnesota at North Carolina. Of course, we know this North Carolina team is actually a really good team. We know Drake May is in the talk for the Heisman race. He is being very inconsistent. He struggled greatly against Appalachian State last week, but this Minnesota team is so bad. They are 2-0 right now. Minnesota's 2-0, but we got to remember that season opener against Nebraska, who just got killed by Colorado. I mean, Nebraska's not good. Minnesota won by 3 points at home, and then they only won 6-25 against Eastern Michigan. So, honestly, this could be a pretty bad game. I was really looking forward to this game because it's like one of my teams that I kind of like for no apparent reason. I just like Minnesota. I don't know why. But ultimately, I got to stop saying ultimately. North Carolina should win this with ease. I mean, maybe Minnesota can score some points in the end and at the start, but North Carolina should just win this very easily. Northwestern, this is no question. Duke should walk over this team. Northwestern struggled to put up any points against Rutgers. Northwestern is fighting for the worst spot in the league, right next to Boston College probably. And Duke should win this easily. Oh, that was weird. Western Michigan at Iowa. This should be another game. This should be another test of Iowa. Can they put up points? I'm not going to say so this time because, 31 is a decent amount, but still, we want to see more. Last time I said, yeah, they would be able to, and they didn't. So this time I'm going to say, no, they are not going to hit expectations. So hopefully they do. Iowa struggles on the offense a lot. They're struggling again. Yes. Western Kentucky, or no, that's not Western Kentucky. Oh, no, it is Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky at Ohio State. This is actually a pretty interesting game. I've heard a lot of good things about the quarterback at Western Kentucky from Harris Highlights, I believe it was. And Ohio State is still yet to show me any offensive ability. We could see Western Kentucky put down some points. Their quarterback, he's been putting up good stats. They often play in high-scoring games. We know Ohio State has a very, very good defense, but, I mean, this team could give them a run for that. Ohio State should be able to score points, though, because Western Kentucky doesn't look to have a good defense, so maybe the offense will hook up there. Boom. North Colorado out Washington State. I just think it's crazy that Washington State's ranked again. I had this team being a 4-win team this year, and then they beat stupid Wisconsin, and now I'm just like, all right. Sadly, I probably should have replaced ASU and Washington State. Yep. Simply, North Colorado at Washington State. Washington State should dominate. I mean, there's nothing to be said there. Like I said, there's going to be nothing to be said here. They should dominate. It's nothing to be said here. This is random school. Tennessee at Florida. So Florida struggled to do anything against Utah's defense. Tennessee struggled against APSU, we'll call them, Austin Peay, or something like that. They struggled, but I think Tennessee will bounce back this week against, honestly, a Florida team that's probably fighting for worse in the SEC right now. Tennessee will travel into the swamp and take care of business. It's just what we want to see from Tennessee after that scary performance last week. Bowling Green at Michigan. I'm going to stick with the trend of the 30 points. I'm going to stick with the trend. And then the other team scoring a point or something like that. Michigan will take care of business. Georgia Tech at Ole Miss. Georgia Tech played in a really close game against Louisville, which looked good. And then they killed their Pee Wee school, but ultimately, in the end, Ole Miss is a very stacked team right now with a very good wide receiver, very good quarterback, very good running back. Ole Miss should handle this team very easily. I could be docking Georgia Tech some points, but it is Georgia Tech, so don't blame me. Wyoming at Texas. It is in Texas Tech's best interest to see Wyoming play their best ball at Texas. Because if Wyoming can play really good ball against Texas, make it anywhere near close, then all of a sudden it's like, well, Texas Tech lost at Wyoming in overtime. Texas Tech lost to Oregon. Like, this could still be a good Texas Tech team in the end, but still, I just don't have faith in that. Texas is a very good team. They should annihilate this Wyoming team. It just sucks what's going on with Texas Tech. Hawaii at Oregon. We could see another Portland State thing here. Hawaii put up fight. They lost to Stanford, but they put up fight, which Stanford just got killed by USC. Connecting the dots, Oregon should be able to destroy this team. Colorado State at Colorado, another game where Colorado should just annihilate this team. And that's the last prediction. Sorry I started flying through that. Like I said, this week is just full of shithole games. There's not a lot to be said in some of these games. I mean, they're just teams that are really good versus teams that are really bad. Week 3 is going to be kind of dog shit, sadly. But that is all for this video. Like and subscribe would always help. A comment always helps. And that's all for me. Adios.